Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Grandstanding with Mother Teresa. It's Tuesday night at 7 o'clock, so that means it's time to grandstand. I want to welcome everyone on tonight for joining me and being here with me on tonight. I want to say hello to my honey who I know is watching, also to my friend Deidre all the way in Georgia. Thank you for tuning in with us on tonight. Everyone else, if you're tuning in, sometimes I can see who's here and sometimes I can't. So if I don't call your name, it's not that I'm ignoring you. Hey friend, it's not that I'm ignoring you. It's just that I cannot see after a while. Your names and all of those things disappear, so I can't see it. And so, but I want to say thank you for everyone that's tuning in. Grab your favorite snack, grab your favorite beverage, call a friend, tell a friend to tune in that Mother Teresa is grandstanding on tonight. And on tonight, hey Mom has joined us. On tonight, we're going to be talking about generational wisdom. And boy, that is a power-packed subject. When we think about generational wisdom, first of all, we have to break those two things up. Generation and then wisdom. Hello, Sister Sherry. Thank you for joining in with us on tonight. Generational wisdom is something that I wanted to share with you all a little bit about tonight. And again, as I always state, that when we're grandstanding or when I'm grandstanding, I am just sharing some of my life experiences and sharing the things that life application. I am a licensed professional social worker, but when I'm grandstanding, that's not the stance that I'm taking. Although some of that often will creep in to the conversation, and I will definitely give you some information. But for the most part, it's just a conversation. It's just what I'm just being obedient to God. God said to do this and have a platform, go on this platform and just talk to the people. When I'm about to get off task again, but when my husband is a licensed elder in the Church of God in Christ. And so he has his way of how he ministers. And, when he has, an opportunity to minister, you have preachers, they get in the pulpit. I'm not a licensed missionary or anything like that, but I feel like I do have a call from God to do what I'm doing. I was called to be an encourager, and I do my absolute best to try to encourage everyone that I come in contact with. And so this is my platform. My platform is also my daily walk. So whoever I come in contact with, I try to always be that encouraging, that person, and try to share with them what God has given to me. But this is another platform that I am really enjoying utilizing, Facebook live stream. And so I ask you all to, if you're not a follower, you're not a subscriber for me on this channel, please do so. And then also please go to my YouTube channel and follow me there or become a subscriber there. I'm trying to build that platform as well. Okay, so let's grandstand. Let's talk about generational wisdom. I think about, when I think about generational wisdom, I think about the things that my mother, my stepdad, and also my grandparents, hey Greg, and my grandparents, and other people, other wise people who have passed on information to me growing up as not only as a child, but even as an adult. And so sometimes when we think about the things that our parents or those elderly people or the people in our lives have shared with us, it's definitely words of wisdom. And it's up to us to take that information and to utilize it the best way possible. One of the things that I often think about, something that Mother Smith, I think it was Mother Smith, or one of the mothers or one of the elders at our church, when they would say, catch all you can, but don't can all you catch. And that's something that is so very true. It is so very true. We got to catch everything that our elders, or, this wisdom that has been passed down to us, because guess what? We're going to need that. There are some things that we have to experience ourselves. And there are some things that we should take the experience of others and say, you know what? That's enough for me. I got it. I don't necessarily want to be that person to have to experience some of the things that I have seen other people in my life experience for me to know that it's bad. Okay. I take it from them that it's not a good thing for me to do. And so I don't want to do those things. I don't want to do those things. So I try to steer away from it. So when we think about the wisdom that comes from other people, again, it might not necessarily be older people, but it's just people in our lives. We take everything. We should be watching everybody that's in our lives and gleaning from the experiences that they've had. But if you go back and you think about your parents, my mom is on here. And so I can remember lots of different things that my mom has shared with me and things that I still carry on to this day. And one of those things is that she would often tell us, when you're doing something, do it right the first time and you won't have to go back and repeat it. Okay, so that means if it's your turn to do whatever it is that it's your turn to do, if you do it right the first time, you don't necessarily have to go back and repeat it. Now, did I always do those things? Absolutely not. Nope, I wasn't. I didn't. But for the most part, I tried. When I was a teenager or a little bit older, I worked for my mom, and I worked for Miss Eigner. And let me tell you, Miss Eigner is one of those who believes in doing things by the book. And if that's what the book says, if that's what it states how it should be done, that was her expectation. And so, and that's what she taught us, is that if that's the way that it should be done, then that's the way she wanted us to do it. And I can tell you that is definitely wisdom and advice that I have carried on in my life, because now as I supervise people in my department, that is one of the things that I try to share with them, is that the expectation is that it should be done like this according to either our guidelines for our department or for, TEA or whatever. So if that's the expectation, then that's my expectation as well. So that is, just a little bit of the generational wisdom that I received from my mom. So what are some of the things that you all have received from people in your lives that, it could be just the way that you conduct yourself now, but it was something that was passed on to you from either a parent, from a grandparent, from a wise old person in your community, from someone from your church. What are some of the life lessons that have been imparted to you? And then are you still using those things, or did you let them go by the wayside? As a parent, and I'm going to give you all some time because I want you all to type some things in here for me, put it in the chat. As a parent and also as a grandparent, there are many things that I have tried to teach my children and also to teach my grandchildren, because these are some of the things that were taught to me. But then there are just some things that I want my kids and my grandchildren to know. I've tried to teach them how to be kind to other people, how to be loving, how to be fair, how to make sure that when you meet people, you're not judgmental and different things like that. Of course, because I believe in God and because I try to represent, Christ, a lot of the things that I am trying to teach or have tried to teach my children and my grandchildren are the attributes of Christ. So I know if I'm teaching them what the attributes of Christ, then hopefully, prayerfully, they're going to treat everybody with kindness. They're going to treat everybody with love and respect. You know, I said earlier that I am called to be an encourager. And one of the things that I know for me, and I also say that this is wisdom, is that when I meet people, I don't want people to have to wonder who they're meeting today. Is this the same person that they're going to see tomorrow? Is this the same person that they met 2 weeks ago, 2 years ago? I want to be the same person, and I try to live my life so that when you meet me, you know exactly what you're getting. And not fake. I am not trying to impress anyone. I think I do a pretty good job of being Teresa. And that's who God made me to be. And so I try to be the very best Teresa that I can be. And so in doing that, I'm hoping that my family, that my children and my grandchildren are responding, and they're watching the example that I'm setting. And so when we start talking about the generational wisdom and the things that are passed on, when I am no longer here, hopefully that is something that my children and my grandchildren can say, is that mommy always tried to, treat people kind. Mommy was a nice person, but not just a nice person, but a genuine person. And so when we think about the generational wisdom and how it affects us, it affects our decisions. If you were born into a family where there was a lot of, chaos or a lot of dysfunction. And let me just say this, you all, when I talk about a dysfunctional family, we all have some dysfunction somewhere. I don't know any perfect families. I don't know any families that have it all together where they are not struggling in something. And because of that, then there is a little bit of dysfunction in all of us. I just say that some of us have learned how to manage it a little bit better than others. But that doesn't mean that there's not some dysfunction. I know, people often kid and say, there's always a crazy cousin or a crazy uncle or a crazy auntie or somebody. We all have them in our family, and we may be that person. We may be that crazy aunt, uncle, or whatever. But one of the things I will say is that, and speaking of family, you all, when I talk about generational wisdom, typically what you will find is that the lifestyle and the environment that you were raised up in is normally, but not always. I love you too, Mama. It's normally what we then carry on in our families with our children and with our grandchildren. So if it was craziness that you grew up with, it takes a really strong person and a determined person to say, you know what, that was the way that my family was, and I am determined that that's not going to be me. And so I would like to say that just because that is what you were raised in, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to be your lot in life. One of my favorite quotes that I like to say is that it doesn't matter, what a person has been, they can choose to be different. And if you think about that quote, there's a lot of wisdom in that. There is tremendous wisdom in knowing that just because a person once was, whatever that once was, is, you don't always have to remain that person. You can make changes in your life, and thank God that God is so forgiving, and He gives us so many opportunities to live a different lifestyle or to live a different way than what maybe we started out. And so I am most grateful for that. So getting back to that generational wisdom, one of the things that I would like to ask you all is that, again, I ask you all, what are some of the things that was passed down through your family, and the significance, how is it significant in your life? How are you utilizing some of the things that was passed down from like your mom or your grandparents or whomever? How is that impacting your life? And then also, how has it influenced the way that you're raising your kids? And then another thing, how are you honoring the people in your lives? You know, how do you honor your mom? How do you honor your dad? How do you honor your grandparents? How do you honor your children? How do you honor the people that are in your life? And so we have to have a way to make sure that we are being showing them some type of we're honoring them in some form or fashion. And I know some of you all are on here that your parents may not be with you anymore. They've long gone, but when they were here, how did you honor your parents? And one of the things that I like to say is that, of course, my mom is on here. I tried to be that child that did not give my mom any problems. I watched my mom work really hard. I watched her struggle. I watched her do a lot of things, make a lot of sacrifices for the 8 of us. It's 8 of us in my family. And so the last thing that I wanted to do was to be a person that caused her trouble or caused her stress. I'm not saying I didn't, at some point, but I tried to be that person who did not cause my mom to be stressed out. Of course, we all make some choices that are not probably the best choice that we can make for us, at that particular time. But I can say the choices that I did make, I'm grateful that God is a forgiving God, and so He allowed me to be able to do a lot of great things, even with the choices that I've made. Hey, Shekinah. So Shekinah is my oldest grandchild, my oldest granddaughter. Shekinah, how do you honor your parents? What are some of the things that you do as a daughter to honor your mom and dad? And also what wisdom, what is one of the one things that they have shared with you or told you and you know it to be true and you try to honor that? And that's what it's all about, you all, is that, we have just a limited amount of time to impact our children, to impact the other people around us. And so we want to make sure that we are impacting them in a great way. I remember my son, Will, when he was much younger, and Will was one of those rambunctious kids that was very hyper and always, just moving and grooving and everything. And I remember a conversation that he had with my mom, and he was just saying that my mommy and daddy, they've taught me what's right and what's wrong, but sometimes I just choose not to do it. So sometimes we can teach our kids, or we can try to impart that wisdom, godly wisdom, and even worldly wisdom, things that will help them in this world. But sometimes kids and people don't want to hear that. Sometimes they want to be able to go out there and experience things on their own, for them to come back and say, you know what? I needed to try it my way. I needed to try that first and to see what happened. Because sometimes, my son is one of those that it's never going to happen to him. He's always going to be able to outrun anybody that's after him. He's always going to be the strongest person. So if anybody is trying to overtake him, or that's overtake, that's an old-fashioned word, but somebody trying to maybe to fight him or whatever, he's going to be that person who's going to be the strongest, so they're not going to be able to get him. And I often tell him, Will, there are people that are faster than you. Will, there are people that are stronger than you. So I need him to take heed to what we're saying to him. I thank God that I have good children, so he listens and he tries to his best to honor his mother and his father. Okay, Shekinah said, I honor them just by listening to them and still trying to figure out how to live the adult life little by little. Thank you, Shekinah. You do a good job with listening to your mom and dad. I thank God for my grandkids. I have good grandchildren. And so they are good kids. They listen. And Shekinah, you're doing just what they have taught you to do, is to listen. and also trying to figure out how to live this adult life. That is a topic that we need to talk about, is adulting. Because sometimes when we get out here in the real world, and when it's time to start paying bills, and you got a car note, you got a house, apartment note, you got to pay your own cell phone bills, you got to pay your own car note, your own insurance, honey, that's a lot. Sometimes you want to go back home and say, Mama and Daddy, can I please come back? I'm tired of being an adult. But once you're out there, keep going, because guess what? We all had to get out there, and we all had to try to make a go of it. And I thank God for the wisdom that was given by my mom, and the what I observed her doing in trying to make sure that that we took care of our necessities, that we took care of our bills. You know, she was a model for us to know how to take care of our family, and not only how to take care of our family, but to how to take care of our household. So when we think about, you know, the things that are passed down to us, you know, it doesn't have to be this great, humongous thing that you say, oh my gosh, this is, you know, this is such a whatever. But those little bitty things, because it's those little bitty things that sometimes will keep us from getting into, you know, bigger things that could be, you know, harmful or whatever. So that I've kind of been talking, kind of rambling a little bit about just generational wisdom. And it's, you know, wisdom is passed down. It's a legacy for us to cherish. We talk about legacies, and I think the older that I get, the more I think about the legacy that I'll leave for my children, and for my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren. And we all want to leave a great legacy. But are we willing to do the work to leave that legacy for our children and for those that are coming after us? And so I challenge each and every one of you all, is that as you're doing and going about your daily lives, make sure that you are doing the things, taking that wisdom that has been passed down to you, and start imparting some of that wisdom. If you haven't already, start imparting some wisdom to your own children. What are some things that you absolutely want your children to know? I shared with my daughters, this has been a couple of months ago, that I needed to have a sit down and talk to them. And it was just some things that I wanted them to know about, and things that I felt like I needed to share with them. And, you know, we haven't had that conversation yet. So I'm talking to me. When I'm talking to you, I'm talking to me. We haven't had that conversation yet, but it's different little things that I wanted them to know. Hey, Melinda, it's different things that I wanted them to know that I have been sharing with them. And it's just, you know, things that I feel like that will be helpful for them as parents, as mothers, and also how things that has to do with parenting. Also, my daughter Net, things that have to do with, you know, being a wife, and financial things, just all kinds of things that I want to make sure that that I have these conversations with them. And so as they're grown, they're adults. But there are also conversations that I try to have with Chase, you know, and I say Chase because Chase is old enough now that he understands a lot of different things that I am trying to say to him and convey to him, that I want him to be as he grows up and to be a young man, and a young man of excellence. So when we think about our kids and we're thinking about our grandkids, the things that we want to impart to them are things that's going to make their lives better, things that's going to make them a good person. And so we want to impart those things into them while they are listening, while they want to hear you, while they're young enough that they can, you know, this can sink in to them and everything like that. So I find myself, you know, having conversations with my grandchildren. And one of the things that I can say is that I am grateful that I have grandchildren that still want to be in my presence. that still likes to be around me and Big Daddy. They're my husband. They like being with us. And so even though they're the young adults, but they still enjoy being with us and they listen to us. One of the things I am so very grateful, TJ, he will call and he will say, Mommy and Big Daddy, is a good day for me to come over? I just want to come over and I want to just talk to you all. I just want to listen to you all. I just want to, just be in your presence. Now, TJ is a freshman in college, but he still wants to come over and spend time with us. And he can have some of the most amazing conversations, and he can have ask some of the most amazing questions. Hey, Amanda, and I try to listen. And not only do we try to listen, but we try to guide him and give him information that's going to be beneficial for him. When we travel, when we used to go to my mom's, and I would take TJ and Will, I would take the boys, and then I would alternate it and take the girls. And a lot of the times when I would take them, the conversations would be where I felt like I was imparting things to them that they needed to hear. And they would always ask questions. And when they would ask those questions, I try to make sure that I answered them to the best of my ability. And I also would then, a lot of the times, depending on the conversation, I wanted to make sure that Ned and Teddy also knew what we discussed. So it's not like I was tattling, on them or sharing their private things, but I wanted my daughter to be aware of the things that I was telling her children, okay? Because after all, those are her children, her and Teddy's children. And so I wanted them to be aware of the things that I was sharing to them. And I feel like that's important for me to do that. Amanda said, my parents had to become adults very quickly as young parents, but always took responsibility and did what they could to make sure my sister and I had everything we ever needed. I honor them by being the best I can be for my own family and showing my parents appreciation and spend as much quality time as we can together. It's hard, but so very important for me that my children are happy, kind to others, and appreciate all life has to offer. So grateful for them and friends that I learn from every day. Thank you, Teresa. Oh, thank you, Amanda. And Amanda, you are such a nice and kind person. Amanda is one of the ladies that I work with at work. And let me tell you, it is amazing when you can surround yourself with people, like-minded people that are similar to you and have some of the same, attributes as you have, because it makes, first of all, I love my job, but it also makes it, it makes it so much easier to be able to interact with people who are like-minded people. And so, hey, Tina, I see you. I wanted to also share one more thing, is that when we're talking with our kids and we're talking with our grandchildren, be mindful that sometimes the questions that they are asking you is questions that they may not ask their parents. So when you're talking to them and you're giving them information, be sure that, like I said, it's not that I am going back and sharing their secrets, and it's no secrets, but it's also, I want to also let Ned and Teddy know that, hey, touch base with, Shekinah or TJ or Rennie and have a conversation about this. They may need to hear a little bit more. And so, and I'm thankful that we have that type of relationship. Deborah said, I convey to my adult kids is trying to be more intentional this year. Yes. Towards family, friends, and accomplishing goals. That's right, Deidre. I definitely know that. And one of the things when we're looking at our adult kids, I've had to learn, and I'm getting ready to wrap this up, but I've had to learn that as a parent, and this is wisdom, you all, as a parent, when my kids were younger, we had a very different relationship that now my girls are, I say my girls, see there, I'm still learning, that now that my daughters are adults, and so that my relationship has changed in the way that I deal with them, but I have to catch myself because sometimes I go back to that stance where they are little children. They are little children, and so we have to be careful with that. Sister Sherry said, I honor my mother by trying to be responsible, respectful, and a kind person that she reared me to be. Having God as the head of my life, even though she is no longer here on earth, I am thankful for the sacrifices she made for me. As her health began to fail in her last years, it was a privilege to be able to be there for her and to take care of her and be at her bedside as she breathed her last breath. I learned a lot from her. Thank you, Sister Sherry, for sharing that information. Yes, it is. Yes, thank you. And I tell you, again, our parents, they have given us so much wisdom. And I tell you, the greatest thing that I know that I can do for my mom, who is the only living parent that I have, is to do well, to live accordingly to how I feel like she would want me to live. I know that my mom wanted her children to be successful, to be happy, and all of those different things. And so I feel like if I can be the kindest, the most person, and be the very best person, then I am honoring my mother. Mother Teresa, I want you to know that I have enjoyed your program tonight. We must get you on Jennifer Hudson's show or the Jimmy Kimmel show and keep up all the good work. Tell Pastor Caldwell hello from me. Well, Elder Powers, thank you so much. Listen, I'm just I'm just a little girl from East Texas. Nacogdoches, the oldest town in Texas. I'm just trying to do what God told me to do. Now, if the door opens up for me to go on Jennifer Hudson's show or Jimmy Kimmel, I know that God will prepare me for just that. But until then, I'm going to continue. Thank you, Melinda. Until then, I'm going to continue to do just what God has me to do on this platform. And so I thank you all. Melinda, you should have shared a story. Now, Melinda is someone who works with me. Melinda has the best stories, Thank you, Melinda. You will be amazing. Thank you so very much. Listen, you all, I have enjoyed you all on tonight, grandstanding with you all. I'm here every Tuesday night, unless I am not feeling well or something comes up. And all I want to do is to share some life application things, share some things from a mother's heart, share some things from me, just share on this platform and give you all an opportunity to kind of sit in with me, listen to what I have to say, share back with me, and hopefully if I can continue to do these things, if I can continue to share the generational wisdom that has been passed down from my mother, from my grandparents, then I think I will be honoring God and honoring my parents and my grandparents. So thank you all for grandstanding with Mother Teresa. I need a podcast. Okay, Melinda, let's work on that. I love this, and I'll think about it. So you all have a great night, and I hate I missed it. I'll be sure to tune in the next time. Yes, Tina, and invite some other people to join in with us. Thank you all for grandstanding with Mother Teresa. See you all the next time. You all have a most amazing week. Yes, Deidre, thank you for tuning in. Yes. Hey, May. I'm glad you're watching, May. Good night, everybody. We'll see y'all the next time.